All right, you guys, I found another person. I found another person that's figured it out. He's figured life out. We got Jeff Scheetz. He does a man of many talents. He has a guitar training website that's like huge. He's a very highly well-accomplished musician, travels the world, and has a world champion disc dog. So this was basically, I wanted to have this guy on to talk about Frisbee dogs. You guys have all seen it on ESPN or whatever, where, you know, the dogs are doing acrobatic catches, catching these Frisbees. And this guy's like a world, his dog, I guess would also be him, is their world champions at this stuff. And so that's what I wanted to bring him in and talk to him about, but just finding out more and more about him. He's got such an interesting, fascinating life. He's a really smart dude. This guy's figured life out. Like, do what you want. Do what makes you happy, and you don't have to work. That old cliche. This guy's doing it, man. I hope you guys enjoy this. This is Jeff Scheetz, and I don't even know what episode it is. 60-something. Maybe 62? I don't know. I think you guys are going to like this episode. I had a really good time talking to him. I will get him back on here again. Just one of those guests you want to have come back on again. I think next time he said he might bring his guitar and play some, like this dude's like a legit musician. Not some dude that just plays a guitar. Like, this dude's accomplished. He's got stuff on Spotify, iTunes. Jeff Scheetz. Guys, this was fun. Enjoy it. And, oh yeah, it's the Pitch Awards. We still got time to go vote for that. Go to thepitchkc.com. And there's a little link on there that says best of. Click that. And then arts and entertainment. Click that. Scroll down to best local podcast. Boy, that's a whole lot that's like 4 or 5 clicks, you guys. Please, we're trying to win this. We're trying to win this award. We're trying to be the best podcast in Kansas City. I mean, you and I already know that this is the best podcast in Kansas City. Now we just got to let everybody else know so they can catch on too. Big things are going to be happening, guys. I love it. I love you all. Thank you for the support, the love, everything. I love doing this podcast. I love you guys. Boom, shalak, boom.
Welcome to the Inner Talk Podcast. We'll no topic is off limits. Now here's your host, my daddy, and Voida Soul. Oh wait, one more thing for me. Thank you for coming to the Inner Talk Podcast. Boom, shalak, boom.
All right, you got your water. I got my tea. I got some beer down here hiding for me in case
this goes long. And
just in case. I got the beer when I got your water because I was like, I might have a beer or two tonight. And then I was sitting upstairs. I've got this little Mexican market right down the street.
I saw that.
And I was waiting. I go there all the time. They know me up there now.
Nice.
And I was like, hey man, get me a burrito. He's like, what kind of burrito you want? I go, I like your food, man. You pick.
Nice,
just whatever's on the board that I can't even pronounce.
Right.
Put that in a wrap. Sling it my way.
All burritos are good.
And they're really good up there. And so while he's making, I just walked up and down the little bodega aisles and came across some green tea, Mexican green tea with mango.
Oh, there you go.
I was like, impulse buy. Let me get that. So I made that real quick, forgetting that I just bought beer.
There you go.
But I figured,
Hopefully it goes to
let's try this
together.
out.
Yeah.
Take a sip now, and then slurp, slurp. Yeah, we're recording. We'll just put that in the podcast. How about that?
Absolutely.
Jeff Scheetz.
Yes.
I appreciate you coming out here.
It's great to be here, man.
Good.
Thanks for having me here. I'm excited.
Yeah, it took a hot minute to get you here, but
it was a little tricky schedule. My schedule's a little wacky, so sometimes it's just finding a time when I'm not somewhere else.
Yeah, right. We'll pull that mic just a little closer to you.
Sure.
Yeah, that's how it is with all my guests, though. It feels like it takes forever to always, because I book people out so far in advance. And
sure.
So frisbee golf, not frisbee golf. I mean, we were talking about that before we hit but disc dogs.
Disc dogs, yes.
You're a big disc dog guy.
Yeah, disc dog guy.
Whatever the hell that would mean.
Right, whatever that is. And so sometimes that's called frisbee dog. So right, a lot of people know of that or think of it as frisbee dogs.
I call
just
disc golf frisbee golf.
Frisbee golf, right?
Right.
That's sort of the common thing.
Mm-hmm.
Frisbee's technically a brand name of the disc. It's kind of like Kleenex and tissue paper. It's Kleenex. Everybody calls it Kleenex. You know what that means,
right?
But it's technically something specific. So same thing with frisbee. But we use frisbee or disc interchangeably when we're dealing with disc dogs or frisbee dogs.
Do you will use the word disc dogs?
Disc dogs,
because you guys aren't throwing discs, are you?
Well, technically we're throwing frisbees,
right?
So it's like throwing discs, right? So
I mean, like the whole disc thing. You're not really throwing discs for disc golf. You're throwing for frisbees,
right?
Or whatever.
Yeah, so
whatever
it's the same thing. So we do. Usually most people say disc dogs, right? So
that's funny. People say disc dogs, but they don't say disc golf.
Right. Yeah. Right. Exactly. The same people will be like frisbee golf. Oh, it's like disc dogs. So people that don't know, like I say, if they really don't have any idea what a disc dog is, a frisbee dog they usually get, because most people have seen a dog on TV run and chase and catch a frisbee, so they're like, oh, that's what that is.
Mm-hmm.
Having said that, most people don't know or realize that there's a whole sport of that it's like a sport with world championships, and people travel all over the country doing it. So it's still pretty underground comparatively, but
for sure.
Just like disc golf has been, it's taken quite a while for it to come to the spotlight and become a little bit more prevalent.
It's still getting there. It's come a long way.
It's come a long way.
It's come a long way in the past, 15 years. It's really, especially past, what would you say, maybe 6 years, 7 years is kind of really,
for sure.
There's been some hole-in-one aces, hole-in-ones on ESPN.
On ESPN's, yeah. There's been some new, Paul Macbeth just got $1 million contract or whatever.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. So
with who?
With Innova. So basically, he was doing an Innova and Discraft thing back and forth. It's Discraft, I guess.
Yeah.
But that's,
wow, $1 million.
doing that. Yeah.
Holy shit.
Now people can be endorsed and play disc golf.
But with a livable, like $1 million, right. I never thought a frisbee golfer could. I mean, that was one of the biggest reasons I kind of stopped playing. Not that I was ever good enough to be like that, but it's like, why would you spend that much time and energy in your life to dedicate to a sport? I mean, I get passion and everything, but
sure.
You're not going to make any money.
Right.
I mean, like the top pros weren't making.
Right. So now that's changed a little bit. Obviously, with endorsements, that helps out. But also, even prize purses and stuff are much better for traveling pros and stuff. So I think that's changed. That's helped sort of change the landscape of it a little bit. But that's taken a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And so the frisbee dog, world is much smaller. But it's still growing too.
It's small. I guess it would be smaller.
Just because people have to have a dog that plays disc, right? And really started in, I think it was 1974 was the real, not that people hadn't thrown a frisbee to a dog before that, right? Sure. But then it was when a guy named Alex Stein jumped out on the field in Dodger Stadium with his dog Ashley Whippet in basically at the 7th inning stretch and just started playing. They kept it televised. Joe Garagiola was announcing and kept announcing. So they literally, for several minutes, the dog was catching frisbees on, in this national spotlight. Alex was arrested right after that because he wasn't supposed to be there.
Oh, he wasn't supposed to be on there.
Illegally, he just jumped out and started playing frisbee with his dog.
Oh, wow. But how did he even get his dog in the stadium?
Well, the 70s, right? You could probably do anything back then.
Oh, yeah, sure.
You could walk in with a shotgun probably. It was
probably,
fine.
Yeah.
So that was, kind of one of the things that really elevated it to everybody paying attention. Oh, did you see that dog catching frisbees?
Sure.
Was it cool? And then people started really putting a little more effort into having competitions. So then it's like, okay, let's 6 guys get together and they have a competition to see who's got the best dog and catches the most, etc. And then that just sort of started growing. So that was, really in the 70s is when it started to expand. But the same thing, I've been in the sport now for coming up basically almost a little over 10 years.
Okay.
And there's been a huge growth in that time. So very much parallels like the disc golf kind of a thing. So there's been a lot of growth and a lot of changes, a lot of new organizations. So there are a lot more opportunities to play now, which is, there's a ton of people out there, probably hundreds of thousands of people that have a dog that play in their backyard,
right.
that have no idea that there's a competitive side of it, that you could go to a tournament and play.
Right. What got you into it 10 years ago?
So what got me into it?
This is like something you have to stumble into.
Yeah,
unless
absolutely.
people are hearing this podcast and then it clicks with them. But
Yes.
it's just something you have to kind of.
Right. It's not something you see on every corner.
Right.
So for me, it was my wife and I had 2 dogs, and one of the dogs passed away, but they were just regular dogs, regular backyard dogs that were our buddies, but just dogs.
Family.
Right? I mean,
right.
they could sit, and that was about the extent of their knowledge.
Right.
So we decided to maybe get a companion for the one dog that was left, and we stopped up at Wayside Waifs to the animal shelter to just check and see what was available. We went in there, and they had just brought in these 3 little puppies and their mother that had been left in a locked cage in this abandoned building. So they would have died, but someone happened to hear them and stopped by, got them, brought them in. 8 weeks old, little fluff ball puppies, and my wife just fell in love with this little puppy.
It's hard not to.
That's how it started. And so we, against my better judgment, we got that puppy. We brought him home. And he was unlike any puppy I'd ever had in my whole life.
Yeah.
He was a ball of energy, just nonstop. And they thought he was sort of, border collie, Australian Shepherd, Sheltie mix kind of a thing. Wasn't
Nice.
sure what he was.
I like
but
it.
Sport doggy,
Yeah.
herding dog. And
Smart, probably.
very smart,
Right.
crazy smart, and just energy for days. And so almost drove us crazy because we didn't know what to do with him,
Right.
And after several months of this, our vet finally said, he needs a job. And it's
the border collie in them. The herding mentality. Right. They do need something to do.
Exactly. Because, my other dogs, their job was just being a dog.
Being my friend.
They were
yeah.
fine with that. Yeah, he needed more
lazy
of that.
Americans, right?
Exactly. It's like, I have a dog laying on the couch. Great,
Yeah.
So our puppy, Towser, he was not going to have any of that. So they suggested we do agility, where the dog goes, through the tunnels and over the things, and sort of agility,
they
obstacle
do that thing
course
for like the Super Bowl, right?
Absolutely.
Don't they do like Puppy Bowl or something like that? And they do those little
absolutely
little poles and jumping up the ramp
weave
thing.
poles and all that stuff.
Oh,
yeah. So, which is another sport, dog sport, but we took him to that and got him introduced to that, and he was awesome at it, and he loved it, and it really helped his energy. It gave him something to do. But he also loved to fetch balls or toys or whatever you throw, he'd fetch. And I had a little floppy cloth disc, and I rolled it, and he'd go catch it and bring it back. And one time I threw it like a regular Frisbee, and he caught it immediately, like no big deal.
Right.
And he was only, 5 months old or something like that, 6 months old.
How fun.
So I kept doing it more and more, but I still it didn't click that this was a thing, But then I saw some other people do this. So I saw something on TV with dogs catching Frisbees, and I'm like, maybe we could do that. So I got online and bought him a proper Frisbee for a dog, a dog safe disc, what we call, which is a little bit softer plastic than like golf discs, right?
Yeah.
And a little bit lighter weight, so
Sure.
you don't bust teeth out. And started throwing those, and we just played and practiced. And I happened to see there was a competition over in Lawrence, Kansas, that was a Frisbee dog competition. So on a whim, I just went over there. I drove over, entered him, and he won. So he won the whole thing.
Holy cow.
So from that minute, I was pretty much hooked. It was like,
Jeez.
oh, this is pretty good. So honestly, he was just awesome. So I didn't know anything about training dogs in general, and certainly not Frisbee dogs. I didn't know what I needed to do. He was just sort of a natural.
Right.
He was
Cool.
really good. He was an amazing athlete. He was good at catching. So we did that, and then we went to Colorado, and we just found all these other competitions. And back then, once again, 10 years ago, we had to drive quite a ways. There wasn't very many competitions here locally. Nothing in St. Louis or surrounding areas. You had to drive out to Denver or over to Indianapolis or someplace like that. But now there are way more competitions everywhere. We host and do competitions here.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, we basically got hooked on the sport that way and just started doing more and more and more. So it was kind of, we stumbled into it for sure. And I'm a competitive guy, and I like to do that kind of thing. And of course, I'd play disc golf, and So I like the competition aspect of it.
Oh yeah.
Loved our dog, so he was basically we were basically turned into like soccer parents, except with dogs, So we travel around and to all these competitions. Besides the competition factor, all the people that are there that you meet at these places, they're Frisbee people and dog people. So they're like the coolest people on the planet, right? So it's the best hang in the world.
Sure.
Hanging out they're not overly competitive. They're supportive, but it's fun. It's a fun atmosphere. It's not even the people that are super competitive, you can give them, you can heckle them a little. It's fun, it's a good time. So, and everybody loves their dogs, and it's a special thing. So it's a pretty neat, community as well. And that really helps.
The Frisbee community entirely, it's just wonderful.
Yeah.
Like it's just full of good people. Yeah. And I mean, maybe it's from, I don't know. The stereotype is most of them are all potheads.
Sure.
Maybe that has something to do with it.
Sure.
Maybe just a little bit more mellow kind of person.
No, absolutely. Laid back, into music.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think for sure, sort of the subculture that Frisbee in general came from.
Yeah, exactly.
Playing on the beach or playing wherever, in the 70s. I think that subculture movement is still prevalent in disc golf and in disc dogging. So you have some of that vibe of, like, say, laid back and people that are really, fun loving people, basically, as opposed to maybe coming from another sport like, I don't want to name sports, but another sport that maybe is a little more stuffy or something like that, maybe
golf, I'll name it.
Right. Regular. Let's,
regular
ball
golf.
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 If you came from that, maybe not quite the same vibe as dudes on the beach playing Frisbee.
Yeah. Country club fella walking in there.
Right.
What's that smell? Smells like a skunk in here. What's going? I think we should leave. I think they're doing drugs.
It's all drugs. A bunch of hippies.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's how we got into the whole thing, and it just snowballed from there. When we originally went after our event in Lawrence, which was pretty low key and a local event, we saw that there was an event in Colorado. I got online and found out there was this big event in Colorado, and we went out there, and I literally had my dog on a leash, a backpack with 2 Frisbees in it. We didn't even have a lawn chair. We had nothing. We just showed up. And these people, there was hundreds of teams from all over, people from Georgia, from Florida.
So this was like a big event?
A big event. And these people all had like pop-up tents. They had 8 crates and 8 dogs, and they had, team jackets, and it was like, they're serious. And we were like, idea. Oh my gosh, we thought we're in the wrong spot here.
Right.
These people are crazy.
Where's the amateur division?
Yeah, right. These people are nuts. We thought this was going to be fun. And so we thought, well, we could never, we'd never do that. Well, so about a month later, we had a tent and crates and everything, and we're going to Indiana, So we got reeled in
just the
really
progression
fast,
of
man.
Like that, the sports, you just start.
Totally. Yeah. Next thing you know, you're like, how did this happen? So, but it's a lot of fun. It's a blast, great people. And of course, playing with your dog is a good time.
So I don't know anything about. I've seen it on TV. I got in. I wanted to actually do that when I was big into disc golf. I was like, it would be cool to have a dog and then just throw the Frisbee around. And I would see the videos of the guys that would throw the disc up real high where it would come back, and then they would the guy would get kind of like put his chest out, and then the dog would jump up on his chest and jump off his chest to grab it. Like, oh, that'd be so fun. Or off their back, like that'd be so fun. That's the kind of stuff you guys are doing.
Yeah, absolutely. That's it. So that's basically there's really, I think there's 3 main competitions in Frisbee dog, in the Frisbee dog world.
Okay.
And one is exactly what you're saying, which is freestyle.
Okay.
It's what you'll see, like if you watch TV and see the Purina Incredible Dog Challenge with all the dogs doing the crazy tricks, jumping off your back, they're flipping, you're throwing different throws, different grips.
It's amazing a dog can flip.
Dogs flip. They flip totally backwards.
What's amazing is almost any animal that would just flip. Like what animal? Like we're in the evolutionary chain of animals. Were they like, flipping is a good thing, and we need to know how to do that.
Hey, they want that Frisbee so bad they'll jump off a building for it.
Wow.
So freestyle is in a nutshell. You have 2 minutes. And you get to play whatever music you want, and you go out and do a routine. You do whatever you want with your dog for 2 minutes, and it's judged. So there's 3 judges, much like judging an ice skating routine,
right,
or freestyle dance. So you have someone who's usually judging the dog, how they're doing, the handler, the person, and then the team. So you get a score at the end of it, and whoever has the best score wins. That's freestyle. The two other events that are the most prevalent.
That's not the most prevalent, huh?
No, not really, because if you think about it, it takes a little bit more time to train your dog to do that stuff. It's a little more of a challenge for you as a handler to get your throws right, to get the dog to do that. So the most common disc dog competition is what's called toss and fetch. Now, toss and fetch is you basically have a field that's marked out in 10-yard increments, like a football field, out to the 50-yard line. And you and your dog stand at one end, and you get 1 minute to see how many catches you get, right?
Oh, wow.
And for each 10 yards further you go, you get more points.
Okay.
So, for example, you might get 1 point past the 10-yard line, 2 points past the 20, 3 points, but you only have a minute. And if it's a miss, you don't get any points. So it's a little bit of strategy there. Do you want to throw it short and safe?
A bunch of short ones real quick back and forth?
Or do you want to go for that 5-pointer out there? But if you miss that 5-pointer, you've maybe wasted 12 seconds or something, so now you don't have as many. So there's strategy involved in that. But it's a game that literally anybody can play, right? Anyone can play that, right? If you got a dog that can play fetch in the backyard, you can do this competition because you just jump in and play, right?
But to be competitive, you probably need a certain kind of dog, right?
Well, I wouldn't say a certain kind of dog.
Okay.
We've seen.
There's not like a couple breeds that are like these are like the top breeds you would want to have to.
I would say you've got a better chance if you have like a border collie or an Australian shepherd. Those dogs are probably going to be the most you see at competitions. But we've seen, labs, everything, corgis, German shepherds, poodles. I mean, every dog you can imagine we've seen out on the field catching frisbees, right? So it really depends upon the dog, how fierce they are, what kind of drive they have. But any dog can do that. So the third kind of competition that happens a lot is a long distance competition. So you'll see a lot of disc golfers do that because they can huck it a long ways, right? So, and that is simply that. You and your dog stand behind this line and you throw it as far as you can. So how far you can go and get a catch, have to get a catch, which is not always easy if you throw it a long ways. But there's guys that throw over 100 yards. So they can throw it, that's over a football field of throwing the disc. And it's much more difficult to throw a frisbee, a disc dog disc, than it is a disc golf disc, right? Because disc dog discs are, more like throwing a putter, right? And a lightweight putter. So most of those are 110 grams.
Oh, wow.
So much lighter weight than throwing a golf disc. So
golf discs are about 175.
Yeah, and with a really sharp edge and
super sharp. You don't want to hit anybody with that. You hit a dog with a disc, you're putting that thing in the vet.
You don't want to play with your dog with that.
No.
So those are really the three different kinds of competitions you can go to.
Okay.
And some people do them all. Some people just do toss and fetch. There's something called the Toss and Fetch League out there. It's a worldwide league where there are over 200 clubs around the world that basically do 5 weeks worth of toss and fetch league. So you find a local league, you go out on every Wednesday night for 5 weeks, your team plays, and you're not only trying to get your own personal best score, and you're playing against the people that are there playing, but you're playing against everybody else around the world. They are all out playing as well. So you get your scores versus their scores. So it's a real fun thing.
Do you guys put it up online? There's like a web page where people can kind of monitor it. And
Absolutely. It's online. You can see your score and see how you did. So we do league. We run a league here in Kansas City, the Kansas City Disc Dogs, which is just kcdiscdogs.com if anybody wants to check us out or get involved here locally. And we do league. We do competitions. We've got a big competition this weekend coming up. So we host competitions, play dates, all kinds of stuff like that.
What is league? Like, how often do you guys do it? And what is that kind of, is that the same? Do you do the three competitions during your league? Or
no,
is it just...
so it's just toss and fetch. So just the one where you got a minute to see how many catches you get. So it's easy. Once again, anybody if you've got a dog that can catch a few frisbees in the backyard, you can play in league. It's because it's fun. It's casual. It's not super competitive. It's
going out and having fun.
Yeah, just going out and having fun. And if you score well, great. But if not, no big deal. And everybody else is cheering you on. Once again, that sort of harkens back to the disc dog community is very supportive. People are really helpful and supportive. That's the thing that amazed me when I first started going to other events, and I was new and didn't know anything. but I kind of checked out the sport, and there was a few people that were like world champions, and they won the world championship many times. And, I'd go to these events and they'd be there, and you could just go up and talk and ask them questions. It's different than some sports where you can't get to people, It's like these people would come over, help you with your dog, give you advice. So just a very cool, it's obviously a smaller group, but it's just a laid back atmosphere.
Yeah, I always liked that about disc golf. I followed the top pros.
Right.
I was like, oh, these guys I would watch different videos on them. I'd read about them in the Disc Golf magazine and the articles online.
Yeah.
And then I went one year to a really big disc golf tournament in Arizona, and I went there a few days early to practice the courses. And I got there, and there's a dude named Steve Rico, Cam Todd, Ken Climo, Barry Schultz. These are like
all the guys, yeah.
These are like the
guys.
top-notch best disc golfers in the world.
Yeah.
And just, Cam Todd lays carpet.
Right.
But I was intimidated.
Right.
I was like, I went to my friends like, that's Cam Todd.
Yeah.
I was like, that's like, world champion. He was one of my favorite players.
Right. Sure.
I was like, but I didn't go. I wanted to go up and talk to him but I was like, I'm just, you get a little but really, like I said, he lays carpet or he does flooring.
Right.
I did actually caddy for him. Let's see, a little about 6 years ago.
Nice.
He was here. And I knew he was going to be here, and I sent him an email. I was like, man, I'd love to. Actually, no, I didn't send him an email. I actually just went to the tournament and found him. Right. I was like, hey, man, you want to have a caddy?
That's nice.
He's like, yeah, dude, that'd be awesome. I was like, sweet. So I caddied with him throughout the whole weekend for the tournament, just to do it, just because I wanted to be around him and watch him. It's just really fun. It's like going to your favorite sport and getting courtside seats or something like that.
Absolutely.
And so I got to do that, and it was so awesome at the end. He was like, hey, man. He's an artist. He paints really cool stuff. He's like, pick whatever you want of my art pieces for your time. I was like, dude, now I get a Cam Todd art piece, and I put that in my son's room, and it's over his bed, and it's just
that's cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, man, that's cool. It is different. That's once again partly just the frisbee aspect of it, but also the fun of the laid back, smaller sort of sport where, hard to hang out with Michael Jordan. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's hard to go hang out with him and spend a day with him.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how you go about that, but
yeah. So people, if you want to meet your heroes, you got to find yourself a niche sport.
Right.
That's big enough, but not too big where you can meet your favorite whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the disc golf dogs, so the league is once a week?
So league goes for once a week for 5 weeks. So it's in a stretch of 5 weeks.
Okay.
And then there's like a month off. And then it's another 5 weeks and a month off.
That's
another
cool.
5. So it goes throughout the year basically.
Really? You guys play in the wintertime and all that stuff?
Yeah. We play in the winter. We play in the rain. It's kind of crazy. We do
wow.
things.
How many people show up to league usually?
Man, it's anywhere from 30 to 45 teams that'll show up.
What's a team?
So a person and a dog, basically. So but there are, some of our bigger events, like we do a annual event that we host in Lawrence called the Land of Oz tournament. So it's a big world qualifier. I think last year we had people from 13 states and Canada came to play there, right? So there's 150 teams there playing for the weekend, So it's like a disc golf tournament, right? Mm-hmm. It's a similar thing, right? Except we're dealing with a person and a dog. Or, of course, many of the folks that are in disc dogging have multiple dogs. So, they have more than one dog they play with.
Sure.
Once you get started.
Do they have like their specialty? This is my catch and fetch dog. This is my freestyle dog. This is my distance dog.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What's the fastest dog out there?
Well, usually probably the fastest dogs are the whippets, right?
Oh, my gosh, that's right.
So,
or a greyhound? What's faster?
Yeah, well, whippets are pretty good at catching frisbees, so I know that. Greyhounds, we don't see as many of those, but we see whippets, and we see then, various.
That's what you do.
crosses.
You get a whippet for the distance thing. Yeah, I'd like to see that. I want to see a whippet just sprint. As fast as he can.
And you sort of need that, even though but when you're hucking a disc 100, like a friend of ours, Rob McLeod, threw to a dog named Davy, who was a whippet, and when you're putting it out there at 120 yards, dogs got to go out there, and they have to be able to do it multiple times. So they run that frisbee down, they bring it back, they've got to go do it again. So your average Rover,
Right.
golden retriever that's used to laying on the couch.
Right.
You're probably not going to do that in the Kansas heat for too many times,
absolutely not.
So you got to have a pretty fast dog. And most folks that are into dog sports, I mean, including my dogs, I mean, they're athletes. I mean, they get fed like athletes.
Yeah.
They go to the chiropractor. I don't go to the chiropractor, but my dog goes to the dog chiropractor.
Get out of here.
Oh,
They have dog chiropractors?
Have dog chiropractors. It's crazy. They used to have a membership to a gym that was an all-night gym that we could take them.
What?
I don't have a membership to a gym.
There's a dog gym?
Absolutely, yeah. So,
What?
so
I've never heard of such a thing. How is that a business that can sustain itself? There's money to be.
Yeah, see, that's the amazing thing, right? It's like when you don't know about that, but it's like so for most of my life I've been a musician, right? That's really my my real job is being a musician. So I always tell people it's like, when you go to a folk festival for the first time and you're like, I've never heard of any of these artists, but there's 50,000 people there attending, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is like this huge subculture of people that are into this stuff,
Yeah.
and the regular people don't know anything about it. They don't even know it exists.
I think one of the greatest guitarists of all time is into that stuff. Tommy Emmanuel?
Yeah, Tommy Emmanuel. So
yeah, I've seen him a couple times.
He's amazing.
Oh my God.
So
that is amazing dude there.
Yeah, my regular what I do, regular job is, I'm director of education for TrueFire.com. We're the largest online guitar lessons site.
Oh, really?
Right?
Oh, cool.
So we work with Tommy Emmanuel. So Tommy is one of our artists that we work with, and he's just amazing. I mean, he's totally, an awesome guy, but just an artist, an amazing player. And that, once again, he maybe is somebody that maybe more normal people know of, but a lot of the folks that we work with, I mean, we do stuff with Robin Ford and Larry Carlton and Steve Vai and all these amazing players, that people that aren't really involved in guitar or really into music don't even know who these guys are,
right.
And yet they're winning Grammys and doing all this stuff, so there's always that element of things you go, wow, I didn't even know that was a thing, and then it's a big thing.
Yeah. A dog gym.
Yeah, dog gyms, dog chiropractors. So dog chiropractors sounds crazy, right?
I think
folks that work with just sport dogs.
I'm not a fan of chiropractors for people. I don't.
Well, and that's the interesting thing, right? So I'm not either, and I wasn't really I never went to a chiropractor.
There's no science behind it.
Yeah. So my wife was a chiropractic therapist for years, right? She worked for this chiropractor, and I never really went. And she started taking to our dog. Our dog got a back injury when he was about 2.5. And a specialist said, look, you should take him to a chiropractor. And there's a chiropractor here in town, in Kansas City, that's a really well-known, really excellent dog chiropractor. Her name is Pat Perkins. So we went. She took the dog there, right? And I'm skeptical, right? I'm skeptical, right? She comes home and said, oh, she did acupuncture on him,
Oh my God, this is
and
insane.
I'm like, I don't know, and so, but she says, oh, it's great. And
ancient Chinese culture of acupuncture on the dog.
On your sport dog, right? So took him for a chiropractic adjustment. And I honestly was pretty skeptical. And one time she couldn't go and she said, look, can you take him? And I said, absolutely. He'd had a competition. So in theory, he's a little stiff and we needed to keep his back loosened up. And so I took him and I went being skeptical, and I sat there and I just watched this change come over him from when he walked in to just like he relaxed and his back, and he walked out, man, he was wiggling and moving. I mean, made me a believer on the spot. I was like, holy smokes, there's something to this. So we've been taking him ever since. And my dog's 11 and a half now. So my first dog, Towser, he's 11 and a half. And last week in St. Louis, he was in a toss and fetch competition.
He's not too old, huh?
No, he played in toss and fetch against 60 other dogs or other teams, and he won, got first place.
Holy cow.
So he's still a beast at 11 and a half, man.
You got yourself a lotto ticket there.
He's amazing.
Wayside Waves. Holy
cow.
Thank
you, Wayside Waves. But honestly, we do attribute a lot to it. We take a really good care of him,
right?
And we do take him over to it's adjustments and just finding out if there's something wrong before it gets really wrong and stuff.
Okay.
So it's a little bit of that as opposed to just normal, just go getting your back cracked kind of a thing. But I mean, Dr. Perkins is a vet as well, so she does regular vet work as well. But it's just finding out those things and seeing what your dog can do. You're dealing with, once again, athletes here. So you warm them up before they do something. There's a cool down period. It's like all this stuff, just like you would do a human elite athlete that's jumping and flipping and doing all this stuff. But once again, had no idea that kind of world even existed before I had this guy.
Who would?
Right. Absolutely. Who would know that,
Yeah, certainly not me. I've never even thought of an animal chiropractor. That's hilarious. What's kind of like he's 11 and a half. When do dogs kind of, all right, they're too old, maybe they should be in the masters division or something? Like, so is there anything like that?
There is a little bit of that. In some organizations do a masters division or an older thing. But a lot of folks, when their dog gets around 10, they stop doing stuff with them. And for my dog Towser, we don't do the freestyle aspect of it now, the big jump off my back and stuff. That's not very safe for a dog that gets a little bit older like that. I mean, when a dog goes off your back, he's 8 feet in the air and then has to come down, So we don't do that with older dogs. But as far as running out and catching a disc, I mean, he loves it, man. He'll do it until he can't, until he's like, man, I'm not catching anymore, So they have a pretty long career. And a lot of people see dogs jumping and flipping and doing all that and think, oh my gosh, is that safe? But once again, from me, we rarely see dogs get injured at competitions or have any kind of problems because they are athletes.
Right.
Now, once again, if you took your dog off the couch, and took him out there, and did that, it would probably be bad. He'd probably be, tearing ACLs and whatever else he could do. But these dogs are athletes. They train this. You train, like training your dog to do anything, you start small. You don't just say, hey, jump 8 feet off my back. You get them to do little, baby steps, always in training. And that holds true for even trying to go get them to catch a Frisbee. And a lot of, probably the most popular question we get is, how do I get my dog to catch a Frisbee? And the best answer is, well, the first thing you don't do is just stand up there and chuck a Frisbee 40 yards, right? Because they're going to go, what the heck is that? So you get them excited about it. You move it around on the ground. Then you roll it. You roll it like a tire away from them because that's really like a ball or something, right? And that brings out their prey drive where if they're excited about chasing something, they'll chase a Frisbee the same as they'd chase a ball or anything else. And then you gradually get them to take it out of your hand and then throw it 1 foot and then 2 feet and just get them used to catching it. And then you throw a 5-foot toss and then a 10. So it's baby steps with most dogs. Now, once again, some dogs are the exception and they're sort of natural at it and they get it.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to train your dog to do that, you just take it really small little steps. Do a lot of tugging with the disc.
Takes a lot of patience.
It definitely takes a lot of patience. And that's the thing, when we talked about the versus disc golf, where you can grab a Frisbee and go hit the course right now. With this dogging, you have to have a dog that knows what. You have to have a teammate. Basically, it's definitely a team sport. It's not all you.
When these dogs are going like 100 yards, they catch it.
Yep.
How do they know where are they just running with their head up, looking at it?
Yep.
Really?
So most of the time, your dog it's a free start. In other words, you send your dog out, so they take off, and they may be 10 or 15 yards up to 20 yards down the field as you're throwing, right? But they're just running straight ahead because they know pretty soon that disc is going to appear out in front of them, and then they just track it. So tracking skills, in other words, a dog being able to watch where it goes and judge if it hyzers off, they got to follow it. That's stuff you work with your dog on doing too. So you basically train them to do tracking drills as well. So it's like, once again, it's there's a lot to it to do it at an elite level. But the good news is it's a sport that anybody can do with their backyard buddy. It's just jump in and do it. It's really that, and it's fun. And we have folks come out to league, that will probably never win a world championship, right? And that's not even really their goal.
Right.
You know, their goal is just to go out on a Wednesday night and have fun with their dog and hanging out with other cool Frisbee dog people, you know? So it's a sport that is open to that as well, which is kind of cool.
That's really cool. You give your dog, like, what do you feed your dog? Like, what do you feed an athletic dog? I can't imagine it's just dog food.
Well,
is it just normal, regular Purina Chow or whatever?
You know, some people do, but there's a lot of, you know, same thing. There's a lot of interesting dog foods out there.
I bet there are. I'm sure they have to have a certain kind of nutrition, right?
Right. So it kind of depends upon your dog, right? So you can sort of deal with trying to figure out what's best for your dog, you know. But there are high-end dog foods that have more protein, you know, a lot of different
I'm sitting over here thinking you're giving this thing steaks and raw. Like, here's some meat. Here's some, you know.
There, a lot of people do something called the raw diet, where they do feed their dog raw stuff, you know.
Yeah.
But, you know, most folks that I know just do a really good quality dog food. You know, there's Taste of the Wild, From, there's Origin. There's a lot of different, you know, a lot of different companies that make high-end dog food.
Are there supplements
There are indeed supplements. So my old dog, he gets a joint supplement. So like chondroitin, glucosamine kind of supplements that you give your dog. Fish oil tablets. Once again, just like old people take.
Yeah.
Sort of the same thing to help with their joints and their cartilage and stuff.
Glucosamine is great.
Yeah. So you do. The dogs do usually get that same kind of stuff. And once again, sport dogs, because we're just probably more aware of the things that our dogs are doing than
normal
just a
people,
normal person, right? So we have our hands on our dogs all the time. We watch them walk all the time. We see what they're doing, so we can, you know, fix any issues but we take pretty good care of them. They have a pretty good
almost
life.
like a boxing trainer.
It is,
right? You know,
absolutely. It absolutely is, man. Yeah, you got to keep your
real intimate. Just make sure he's.
It's a one-on-one kind of thing. Yeah. So it's like a very much, you know, we go out and train. So my dogs, you know, they not only, it's great for them, but it keeps me in great shape, because
Absolutely.
every morning we go out and walk, do some hills, walk close to 2 miles. We usually then work out during the day. So my old dog, he doesn't do normal training like workout for catching Frisbees, because he knows how to, he's got that down.
He's Michael Jordan.
Michael
Jordan ain't shooting free throws.
Nah, he ain't got to do that. So same deal. My young dog, we're working, then we go out and work during the day, catching Frisbees, doing drills. And then we usually go walk for a couple miles at night. So it's, you know, it's definitely a, you know, very active thing if you want to get into with your dog. And once again, I think that's great for the person as well. Good for people, right?
Yeah. It takes a special kind of person. Not anybody can have an athletic dog.
Right. And that's, you know, I would say for sure.
Maybe not anybody, I should say, not everybody should have one.
Right.
I mean, anyone can, but
it
obviously seems like.
Well, and that's why a lot of these dogs end up in the shelter.
Okay.
I would say, you know, a good portion of, probably the biggest share of dogs we see on the disc dog field are rescues. And a lot of times why those dogs ended up in rescue was because they were just too crazy. They were bouncing off the walls. They're chewing up the couch. And a person's working all day. They don't have time to do stuff with them. So they get dumped in the shelter, you know. But for folks that are Frisbee dog people or agility people or just into dog sports, they look at that dog and they see an opportunity for that dog to be able to go out and live the life he really wants. You know, do what he was meant to do. So a lot of Frisbee dogs come from the shelter.
That's a really cool little aspect of it.
Yeah, totally.
Like you're saving these dogs and then turn them into
world champs.
Yeah.
You know, like
cool.
I have 2 of my dogs that were rescues that are both world champions, and they were just, you know, Towser, my dog Towser, he's been on the cover of Dog Sport magazine. He's been featured on ESPN.
Really?
On Sports Center.
Cool.
So, you know, nobody asked me to be on Sports Center.
Yeah, you got a famous dog.
He's been on Sports Center.
All the other dogs must want him.
So it's kind of a neat story when you take a dog that was abandoned and
that's a really
stuff
cool
like
story.
That. That's a good thing. There's a lot of dogs that friends of ours have that have been, you know, taken back to the shelter multiple times by different people that would adopt them, and I can't deal with this dog, take him back. I can't deal with this dog, take him back. And then he gets in the right home. And then he flourishes, you know, then it's like, oh, we got somebody that will go out and work with me all the time and give me that you know, that job that I need.
That was one of the biggest reasons why I didn't actually pull the trigger and get a dog for the Frisbee stuff, is because I wanted to get a border collie.
Yep.
I like them. And then I started reading and researching. I was like, I am not smart enough for this dog. This dog will own me. He's gonna herd me. He's gonna herd my. Yeah, it's like I'm just not smart enough.
Well, at least you had the common sense to research beforehand. A lot of folks get a dog without researching. They see
I'm
a dog
dumb.
they
I'm
want.
just not that dumb.
Yeah, we have my guy is.
I'm Labrador dumb.
Well, yeah, my dog is beautiful and cuddly, and we do demos and shows and stuff like that, and people are always like, oh my gosh, I'd love to have a dog like that. I'm like, well, maybe, maybe he's awesome, but it takes a little work. So it really depends upon what you're looking for. So if you're not sure you want to commit to that, you should just get an easy dog to start with before you move into a dog that's going to require a little bit more work.
Yeah, no kidding. You give your dog CBD?
We do not. We have friends that do. Have friends that are into that. I just haven't kind of like you with chiropractic. I just haven't found the right exact science and ingredients that I feel comfortable with.
Okay.
I guess simply because CBD is such a hot thing right now. You can buy it at the corner, gas station.
Don't buy that stuff. But
no, of course not.
But
so,
I know.
So you know what I'm saying. But so that makes
snake oil.
Yeah, that makes it very. Who knows what's in that? And I just read an article where they tested a bunch and it was widely varied because there isn't a lot.
There's
of
no standard
regulation.
There's no standard really.
Right. But having said that, that doesn't mean it doesn't work or it doesn't or can't be a good thing. And I think as that becomes more prevalent and the industry, sort of collects itself and gets together, it will probably come up with studies and come up with a little bit more standards where there's this much of this in this, and you can be sure that's the case as opposed to,
the stuff at the gas station.
Right. It's like guys that go down to the jungle and do ayahuasca. It's like, well, you just dip your cup into the bowl and what are you getting there?
Yeah.
It doesn't blend all together perfectly uniformly.
Better find the right shaman.
Yeah. So it's some of those things are that's why it works great for some people and some people it isn't so great. So I think there's a lot of things like that. So haven't done that yet, but I hear a lot of good things from a lot of friends that are doing something with their dogs with that to help them with arthritis, help them with some other things like that.
Inflammation is supposed to be really good for inflammation.
Yeah, so I think for some of that stuff, obviously, if it with anything, if you think it works, it works. But if you start to see some real results, then you can go, okay, I'm doing this.
I'm a
and
buyer,
that was the same thing I was with the acupuncture and chiropractic. It was like, all right, well, I sat there and saw it, so might not be able to convince anybody else, but it doesn't matter because I saw what worked for my dog, so I'm okay with that, you know. And you got to kind of find out what works for your dog, It's the same thing even with training, There's a lot of different kinds of dog trainers out there and stuff, and they're not all the same, So you have to find what works for you and your dog. Takes a little bit of work, a little experimenting.
I had a big CBD guy on. Have you ever heard of CBD, American Shaman? I had the owner of that on, and he's a big time CBD player. He's got stores all over the country, and the big thing with him is he's getting these other CBD entrepreneurs and trying to get together and create an industry standard,
right?
And say we need to come together, and if we'll come up with some kind of label. So if the industry standard, if this bottle has that label, people can trust it,
right?
And so they're trying to get there.
And I think they have to make it.
They have to
really to put it over the top. Right now, it's a hot thing. Like say, you can buy it at a gas station or whatever.
Because there's a lot of ignorance around surrounding it.
Right. Yeah. People just hear, CBD. I think that's good, and then they, they're not really. So I'm sure once they do that, that will really help.
Right.
It's kind of like with anything. You have to sort of have some kind of a way to standardize it, legitimize it, so people know what they're really getting.
Yeah, that's what he's trying to do. But he was telling a story. That a lot of people will take it and maybe if it doesn't work, but it works for them, kind of like a placebo effect type thing. But he was saying, but then you give it to these dogs and you see it like right away, like these things that, like a dog that can't even jump on the couch, you give them the CBD and the next day they're jumping up and down.
Right.
And he goes, dogs don't know what a placebo is. You know what I mean? It's like, so it works, but that's why I was kind of curious if maybe you. kind of checked a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
That.
And that is definitely the deal. Because for people, once again, if you believe it works,
right.
whatever it's doing for you, right? But the dogs, they don't know what you're giving them. They don't know what you slipped in their food there, so they don't really care one way or the other. They're
they have no idea.
Go out and do their thing.
And then I had a bodybuilder on just recently, and he just started using CBD not too long ago, and he says he won't not take it anymore. Like, he has to have it because it just helps with, he says, inflammation and soreness.
Sure.
He'll go hard in the gym, take that, and it helps significantly, he says. So.
Well, yeah, for sure. I mean, it's definitely, the experiential evidence is there with people saying, hey, this helped, this is doing this.
I mean, it might be just anecdotal, but
it might be, but I think, once they can standardize it and make it to where what you're getting, at least, then you can do a test, right? If you buy this one and they're different things, then it's hard to really do an actual, empirical test of saying this one works and this one doesn't when who knows what's in there.
Yeah.
But if here's exactly what it is, then it makes it a little bit more, makes more sense to at least try it.
Right. Have you been in Frisbees like your whole life? Like, I mean, how do you, or was it the dog? I mean, the dog is kind of.
Well, I started playing disc golf before.
Wait, did you start? Oh, you started that first. Okay.
Yeah, I played disc golf first, but when I was a kid growing up, we threw Frisbees around just playing, catch and normal Frisbee stuff and going to the park and hanging out with buddies and playing Frisbee, but nothing serious and nothing competitively. But then I started disc golf. Probably about a year before I got my dog. So before I got Towser, I started playing disc golf, or maybe a couple of years before that. And a local disc golfer, a guy who was a friend of mine, who used to come see my band play, a guy named Matt Fox, who recently passed away, actually.
The name sounds familiar.
Yeah, he was a local disc golfer guy that played all the time. And he come and saw my band play one night, and afterwards he said, hey, you ever play disc golf? And I said, no, but I thought about it. I thought it'd be cool. He's like, well, meet me out at Swope at 9 o'clock in the morning, and we'll play. And so we did. And then I got pretty obsessed with that and jacked up my rotator cuff. Went in pretty hard on playing a lot of disc golf.
Me too. I did the same thing.
Played a lot of disc golf early on. And then, once I got into dogs, I don't play as much disc golf anymore, because when I have time to go out and play, I feel like I should be going out and working on my disc dog stuff,
right?
That makes sense. Because that's
I
do more of that.
You have a world champion.
Yeah, you got a world champion.
You can't ignore a world champion.
Right, I'm not going to be a world champion in disc golf probably, but
no.
I got a shot at the dog thing. So definitely putting more effort into that. And we play disc golf for the fun. It's still a fun time. And anytime, a lot of times people ask us who are disc dog people if they should play disc golf, if that would help them. And, the reality is, anytime you're throwing a Frisbee, it's probably good for anything you want to do. And, in the Frisbee world, right? If you go out and play a round of disc golf, it helps your disc dog, it helps you understand about disc control. It just gets your muscles moving in that direction. Definitely the discs, as we mentioned before, are different, so it's a lot different.
So a lot different.
It's really hard for me to go out and throw around a disc golf and then immediately pick up a dog disc, because
I can't throw a Frisbee.
They're a whole nother thing.
They are.
Man. They're so lightweight. They flip on you all the time. You have to release it almost straight up and down, hyzer it. So especially guys with a lot of power and big throwers, it's hard to get those discs to not flip over, because they're so understable compared to golf discs.
Right.
But yeah, back to your question. So I sort of enjoyed Frisbee playing the whole time. But like I said, I've been a musician, so that was, I was on the road, I was playing, I was doing records and all that stuff. So I really didn't have time to get into disc dogging. I didn't need another hobby. I didn't need something to do,
That.
But it's just one of those. It's a great lesson for me, because right now, most all my friends are disc doggers. We spend our time and our money and everything we do, with our dogs and Frisbee dogs. So sort of the moral of the story to me was, you should never be afraid to be ready for a right-hand turn to happen in your life. No matter how much you think, I got this is what I do, here's who I am, here's what I do.
Yeah.
You got to say, you know what? Maybe I'm going to do something different. maybe there's something different out there. I know a lot of people that just get so set in their ways and they do the same thing and they don't go on any great adventures and everything is the same and they become kind of complacent. And
who are these people? I want names.
Maybe they're sort of happy melancholy kind of thing where it's like, yeah, this is what I'm doing. I do this every day. Here's our friends. Here's our group. Here's what we do.
That's what
it's a routine.
Yeah.
And I've never really been that way, being a musician and doing all the other stuff I do. But for sure, the dogs have shown me that there might be a world out there you don't even know exists. And unless you're open to it and you're open to say, all right, I'll give this a shot, you never have the fun of it. And it's been a blast for us. The best years of our lives are hanging with our dogs and doing stuff. So it's kind of a neat thing.
Okay, so I was asking earlier about kind of the longevity of dogs. What would be kind of like your longevity? Like at some point, you're probably going to have to retire, right?
From playing with my dogs, or
from this, from
life
this
in general.
Dog. No. we all retire from life in general.
I'm gonna retire. I don't have a number in mind, but
yeah, but no, like I can't throw 100 yards anymore,
right.
or I can't whatever. Like,
so it's a kind of good thing about the distance thing is the one thing you see a big difference, right? With these young guys with rubber band arms that can snap it without terrible technique, and they can chuck it 100 yards, right? So just like in disc golf, as you get older, you lose that fast twitch muscle. So that's the thing that
not
really
me,
affects
bro.
that. No,
not me.
Present company excluded, right? So that is a factor, but most of the other stuff, it's not really a big deal. We can all throw it 40 yards, right? So you could be 70 and throw it 40 yards. So you have
you think so?
Pretty sure. I'll let you know.
70, 40 yards is kind of far.
40
yards is 120 feet. That's kind of far, isn't it? I guess not.
Not really.
40's not that far.
40 yards not bad.
70-year-old, I guess a decent 7-year-old.
Yeah, there's guys that are playing disc dog that they're throwing it. They can throw that far.
I'm thinking of the average 7-year-old. I imagine a 7-year-old disc golf or disc dog dude is not the normal 7-year-old.
Right. He's been chucking it that far for a while. So there's that. I mean, some of the freestyle moves, right?
I want to see a 7-year-old freestyle.
Right. So that's where it gets a little bit different, right? So it's harder to do because some of the freestyle guys that are really good, I mean, they got like ninja moves. They're spinning around, kicking their leg up, doing somersaults and flipping around while their dog does all that stuff as well, right? So
I got to YouTube this shit.
Those things are a little harder when you get older.
Yeah.
But there's ways around that too, where you just adapt what you do a little bit. So yeah, there's a lot of people in our sport that are in their late 60s that are playing, and once again that's because they were frisbee guys from back in the day. Back in the 70s they were playing frisbee. Hippies. Yeah, they're like old school hippie dudes. They're like guys that used to freestyle without a dog, just freestyle frisbee on the beach kind of a thing. So I think it's possible. It's more about. It's like any other good hobby. It's more like when your money runs out.
My money runs out.
Right, when your money
once
runs
a week.
Out, right. When your
I gotta
money
wait
runs
for my
out,
next paycheck.
Then you might have to stop.
Yeah. Okay, so you're going to these competitions. You're spending all of this money.
Yep.
I'm gonna assume there's some kind of expected ROI. Are you making money? Like this world champion you must make some money off that, right?
Not really.
You're on ESPN. You're on a magazine, or your dog is.
Yeah. So competitions, for the most part, don't have cash rewards, right?
Really?
So there's no money involved. You get a trophy.
It's not a professional circuit.
It is
per se
not in that regard, right? So you're going to get a trophy. You're going to get that kind of thing. So any money in the sport, at least right now, and there's a few exceptions to that. There's a couple competitions where you win a toss and fetch event, you might make $300 or something. So
will you gamble?
Possible.
Will you gamble with people? Hey, I bet just on the side. Hey, I bet.
Well, sure, we all do that a lot. We all we have a friendly rivalry and friendly bets occasionally that take place, just like disc golfing, right?
Yeah.
But some folks once again have endorsements, or their dogs have endorsements by a dog food company. We don't have any dog food company right now. So
no. Do you have any endorsements? Does your dog have any?
My dog doesn't have any endorsements.
Why not?
That's a shame. It's ridiculous. He needs endorsements. He'd tell you he needs to have a lot more, lot finer ride than he's got right now. But the way that most friends of ours and us and our Kansas City Disc Dogs. I mean, Kansas City Disc Dogs as a club, we host events and do that kind of thing, so we can make a little money doing that. But most individual folks that do disc dogging go out and do shows. So meaning, like we've done halftime for the Kansas Jayhawks, right?
Oh, cool.
Halftime at Allen Fieldhouse when it's a game between the Jayhawks and K-State, right?
Wow.
18,000 people going
sweet.
crazy.
That's pretty sweet.
We're the halftime entertainment.
Wow. How cool is
so
that?
We do the Royals game. We do a Royals game about twice a year.
Have you done those yet?
Yeah.
This year? Both of them?
Yep.
You're not going to do it again?
I don't think we have anything lined up for them, although, who knows, we get called for folks to want to do it. But we travel around. We go up to Nebraska. So a lot of times people do that as sort of, when they're not competing. Right. It's basically
dog income.
Pay for their competition
right.
fees, by going around and doing those kind of shows. And there are a lot of people that do that full time, that basically do shows that, they're at a state fair this week, and next week they go and do a, Silver Dollar City or whatever so there are definitely a lot of teams that go out and do that basically.
Why isn't there money in it? Like, why don't you pay your entry fee and then they pool a percentage of that and then pay out a certain percentage, like
I
like
think,
disc golf?
Yeah, I think that will come to that. There is in one way, because the host, whoever hosts the event, provides awards, right? Provides prizes, awards.
People want cash money,
trophies.
baby. Give me that money.
I know, cash is good.
Yeah,
right? Or at least
I don't need your trophy.
Right.
In 3 months, I don't care about that thing. I want that cash, son. I got shit to pay for.
Or at least a stack of plastic, like amateur disc golf, right? Where you can turn around and sell those on eBay, and it's like cash.
Probably
right?
making more than
yeah, for sure. That was my favorite
I
thing
knew
about
some
that.
Dude, I knew some amateur sandbaggers that were doing it just for the selling of the plastic.
Still some of those guys out there.
Oh, there are. There will always be those little scumbags. I'm looking at you.
That's right. Yeah. Not naming names, but
I am.
Your initials are.
Yeah. Steve Mills, I'm looking at you, sir.
But, I think there's, as the sport is growing, that's definitely going to be another thing that factors into it, right? Is that possibility of at least not having it cost you money like a hobby to go and pay entry fees, and then you won and you still paid the same entry fee as the person that got last place, right?
Yeah.
So that will probably change. I think one of the things is, it's kind of like it took a long time for that to happen in disc golf as well, to really have, proper prize, purses. I think the same thing with disc dogging. It's just comes from that laid back. It's just fun. We're just having fun with our dogs kind of competition.
Kind of, but you guys got world champions.
Yeah, you do. And look, there's organizations. So there are different organizations that run competitions, right? That sort of put on competitions. In other words, a company called Skyhounds, one called the USDDN, one called the UFO, one called AWI, one called Updog. So these organizations or companies basically have their own formats. So if you want to host a Skyhounds event in Kansas City, you contact them and then you buy a prize package from them, follow their rules, do it their way, and then you would announce to the disc dog world that you're holding and hosting a Skyhounds competition, and disc doggers who are interested in that come from all over to compete in that. At the end of, and part of that is not only do you compete there, but you are trying to qualify to get to go to the World Championships. So if you qualify, then you go to the World Championships, which in Skyhound's case is in Tennessee in September.
Every
that's
year?
where yes, every year. But each one of those organizations have their World Championships. So it's kind of like a boxing thing where there's different organizations that host World Championships, right? So each one of those organizations is, making money. I mean, they're companies. Some more than others. Some are more popular than others. Some are more aggressive with marketing and getting their stuff out there than others. But that's kind of how that works. So, like for us, right? I'm part of the Kansas City Disc Dogs, and we're a club, right? We're a local club, and so we host competitions. So we will host a Skyhounds competition this coming weekend. We're hosting a AWI competition. We host competitions from different organizations to give our people, as well as anybody that comes, an opportunity to qualify for the World Championship, as well as just the opportunity to play with your dog, right? So it's like a fun event as well as useful.
Do you have a lot of people, or are there like, obviously there's spectators, but are there outside spectators, like the people that don't have a whole lot invested, like they don't have their like I'm not coming to see my family, my dad who has a dog doing these things. It's not me. Like, are there just random spectators that show up to these events to watch them?
Yes. So a lot of that depends upon where the event is and what's happening, right? So events that are tied to another event, like in the fall, we do a competition out in Grain Valley for in conjunction with something called Grain Valley Days. So it's a fair out there, right? So there's fair goers that, there's Frisbee dogs, so they come over and watch, right? If it's a competition that's a standalone competition like this weekend that we're doing that's not tied to anything else, there won't be very many people that drive out south to watch our competition, right? Because it's like, but if it's tied into something else, that's where you usually get a fair amount of people. And some events have a pretty large audience because of all the people that are there. And once again, who doesn't love to watch dogs go chase Frisbees, right? Which is why doing the halftime shows and all that stuff is so much fun, and why we get asked to do that stuff is because, that's entertainment. I mean, watching a dog run down,
everybody
jump high,
loves it.
Grab
Kids
a
must
Frisbee.
love it.
Yeah, kids love it, So it's pretty easy in that regard. People like it. But getting spectators to come to an event is a little bit more difficult. So this winter or fall, October 12th, I believe it is, we're doing something in conjunction with this Toss and Fetch League when they're hosting this worldwide championship. We're hosting our regional, basically, finals, and that's going to be down at Berkeley Riverfront Park.
Oh, so beautiful. That's a cool spot.
Yeah, it's a really neat spot, and we're doing it. They're having a dog fest there in conjunction with it. So there's going to be a lot of people just bringing their dogs out. There'll be dog vendors selling,
dog meat,
whatever dogs want to buy, whatever dogs are into shopping for. So there'll be those kind of people there, and that'll bring a lot of people. So it should be a big crowd there.
That's cool.
So when there's crowds like that, it's fun. I mean, it's a lot. It's
a bunch of like-minded people all hanging out
and doing the same thing. So, but it's kind of like, once again, like disc golf, right? Where you have a local competition, you don't have a lot of spectators, but you have a bigger competition.
Frisbee golfers,
you have a bigger competition. You might get, a few more folks that just come out with a Frisbee golf friend, with their buddy, and come out and watch or something. But you'll get a little bit more of a, gallery following people around and watching and checking it out. So, but it's definitely, it helps to be tied into something else.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I wonder if we just need to market it more.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
it's a hard thing to.
It is a hard thing to market because of the lack of funds that are there.
Yeah, exactly.
On all sides, and that's really the thing right now. It's not a real lucrative thing for anybody. So there's a couple of things that help that, like the one organization called Skyhounds. They sell dog-safe Frisbees, dog-safe discs, right?
So it's just a certain plastic that they can, like, if they swallow it and they it won't poison them or something?
I can't vouch for swallowing it, but when they bite it, it won't just shatter, right? So, like,
that's what they mean by dog. I was thinking like the BPA or something.
Eco-friendly or something, yeah. So, I mean, I think that's better. I think that's a factor. But like when you go into the local pet store and there's like a 99-cent Frisbee,
it's gonna crack immediately.
Dog bites and that cracks.
So this thing here, you brought me a Frisbee here.
Yeah,
this is pretty. It does feel pretty good.
Yeah. So if a dog bites into that, even if they hard chomp, they'll put a tooth mark in it or puncture a hole in it, but it won't split. So it still functions basically. So that's what the difference between a dog safe disc and one of those hard discs you get at PetSmart or a golf disc would be.
How much is a Frisbee? How much is one of these? Just like a good Frisbee, roughly.
Yeah. So there's two kinds of dog Frisbees that are dog safe Frisbees in general. There's what's called non-bite resistant, which means if you have a hard biting dog, they'll bite a hole in that Frisbee, right? So those are $5. Then there's what's called bite resistant. Nothing's bite proof, but there's bite resistant discs that are made of a much tougher plastic. They're kind of like a Champion plastic. Like Innova makes dog discs, right? So there's
do they? That makes sense. Why wouldn't they?
Yeah, so they do dog discs. So Hero Disc USA. But if you go to the Innova site, they're the same.
I thought that was a Japanese company. hero.
Well, they're the same. But they're the same. They're sort of the same, tied into the same thing.
Okay.
So like Champion plastic, but a little bit softer, is kind of what these bite resistant discs are. They'll run you $15, but if your dog bites through them, you'll save money by buying those, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing lasts forever. You should never leave your disc out so your dog can chew it like a chew toy. It's not really a chew toy, you know. But basically, you know, $5 for a cheap disc or $15 for an expensive disc.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's kind of where the price range is, and it just depends upon your dog and what you like throwing. So the bite resistant discs are heavier. They're 140 grams.
Oh, that's what you want.
So much
That's
easier
the
to throw.
one, yeah.
And much easier to throw in the wind, you know, for sure. Because throwing the 110 gram or sometimes lighter, like that one's probably 100.
You better have a
maybe
tailwind, yeah.
Yeah. It's a pretty tough to, you know. So then, especially when you're doing the freestyle stuff, where you're doing all these cool throws and behind your back and flip,
Oh yeah,
that's brutal.
If you got a
in the
breezy,
wind.
if you're in Kansas and it's super windy.
Yeah, that's tough.
Huh.
So yeah, that's kind of the tools of the trade you have to have, you know, to be able to really pull it off.
Is that your dog on the logo?
That's not my dog on the logo.
Right.
When we designed that logo, the first logo had my dog on it, but I opted to go with this dog and not be selfish and want my dog on the Kansas City.
Oh, come on, he's a world champion. It's not that your dog, you got a world champion.
Well,
he's
got his own frisbees too. He's got his own discs. Yeah.
He's got his own like line.
Well, just his own. There was his own picture on his discs.
Oh, I got you.
So he's got his own website, and he's
got his own website. Yeah. What's his website?
Team Towser. Team.
How do you spell Towser?
Towser.
That's
Team
how I would have
Towser,
guessed it.
TeamTowser.com. It'll give you. There's some videos and some fun
cool.
stuff about
I can't wait to check that out.
Yeah, some fun stuff about him. So he's got his own thing.
Towser. Badass.
Towser. Yeah.
Dude, that's so cool.
It's awesome. Yeah, it's it's a lot of fun, man. There's a lot of angles to it, and it's kind of one of those interesting things that, like I said, a lot of people don't know about, and a lot of folks, we see it. They come out and they're not sure. They've got a dog. We'll try this, and next thing you know, man, they're hooked and they're all in, you know, and they're just totally, digging it. I can relate because that's what happened to me. So.
Right, it's one of those things that either it just bites you and grabs you, or you just
don't do it. Yeah. And certainly helps to have a good dog. Obviously, if your dog is like a beast and he's catching everything and doing great, it can certainly be more fun to actually, play because, it's more fun to win than not.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't think I was going to grab some beers, but here I am. And here I am.
There you are.
Oh, what was I going to say? Fuck, I had a good question.
Yeah.
At least in my mind.
Yeah.
It was good, and then I lost it. When is that? I mean, this episode's going to come out in a few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know when yet, but this is just a selfish, personal question.
Yep.
This weekend, you said there's one. When is it? Because I get my kids on the weekends.
Yep.
Always looking for something free to do. That's for damn sure.
For sure. This is Saturday.
Okay.
It's, Saturday, basically down sort of south on Holmes Road. Basically, there's soccer fields out there. So it's on a soccer field out there down south.
Okay, that makes sense.
So that's on Saturday. Actually, a bunch of us Frisbee people on Sunday we'll be going up to Scheetz. Scheetz there in off 135th. Is having dock dogs in their parking lot.
What's a dock dog?
Oh, dock dogs where dogs run and jump in the water.
Yeah.
So a lot of our dogs
do
that.
Yeah,
right? So,
of course they do.
So many Frisbee dogs do other sports, right? So they do dock dogs, which is dock diving, or they do the agility, going over hoops and doing all that stuff. There's lure coursing, which dogs chase a lure around a field. Basically, it's almost like a little stuffed animal being pulled on a string.
Oh, like they do with a dog track, a little rabbit.
Yeah, it's pretty much like that, but out in a field.
Mm-hmm.
There's just a lot of different kinds of sports out there for dogs. So a lot of the people that start getting into one,
there really
get
are
into others, and then
if you think about
do that.
Yeah, there are just a ton. We've been using dogs. I don't know what to believe, but they say, like evolution, all dogs come from wolves.
Right.
And we've got them which is so weird. I'll never understand that.
Right.
I can't understand. I can't understand how a wolf became a Chihuahua. That's
hard.
just
Or
a Great Dane.
Or why would you want to do that?
Yeah, I can't imagine it, like that short of a period of man being on Earth that we were able to change these dogs
It is
from a wolf to what we see now.
Yeah.
Pugs?
Yeah,
How the fuck was a pug a wolf one time?
Right. And once again, why? Why did somebody go down that path?
Yeah, right?
Why did they say this is a good idea?
Yeah, and why do people like pugs? I can't handle that dog. Oh my gosh.
But yeah, man, when you see a dog, I mean, the color they are, the thickness of their coat, their behavior, all of those things have been, genetically engineered through selective breeding by people. That's how they've gotten to be that way. How dogs that are more aggressive have been bred to be that way. Dogs that are mellower. I mean, it's just sport dogs that work, herding dogs. I mean, all those things, they didn't just happen magically. It's like those were
It depends on who you ask.
Yeah. It's magic, all right. So yeah, those things. But it's pretty amazing that dogs are sort of like that, And there are dogs that definitely, like I said, are better at, agility or frisbee. And there are people that selectively breed those dogs as well. That just like dogs breeding. Dog breeding to get the best sled dog. You find this great sled dog and this great sled dog.
I'm sitting here thinking of all these things we do with dogs.
Yeah.
You got the sled dogs. We got the dogs. Got the frisbee golfs. We do dog shows where they just, the beauty pageant of these stupid
beauty
things.
Pageants, which is
You got the fox hunting hounds.
Yeah. You've got everything.
I mean, dogs really are.
All kinds of trials.
We don't think about. I don't know. At least for me, I don't ever think about that stuff. I just think of dogs mostly as a companion.
Sure. Yeah.
But we've put them to work all over the place,
and they love it. Yeah, there's dogs that do pulling. They do.
And
they
we
pull
eat them.
things.
Well, not me, but
not personally.
Some people eat them.
Some people do. I've been to some of those. I've been to some places
really?
where that happens.
Did you try it?
No.
Would you ever?
No.
Why not? You couldn't do it, huh?
Just couldn't do it.
You couldn't do it?
Knowing what I know, couldn't look at my dog and think I was doing that. I don't think I could do that.
I'm a dog guy, but I'm also a foodie.
I am too. Hey, man.
I just want to try it.
No, I know. I understand.
They say Bichon is the best.
Yeah. See, that's
from the research I've done.
Look, there's definitely people that eat anything out there, as we know.
Yeah. Well, first what happened was I was doing my research on border collies. I was like, like I said, I'm too stupid to own one of these things. Right. Let me just see what's the best tasting dog. And I started, researching that, and it came to Bichon, and went to local Wayside Waves, picked one up, and slapped it on the grill the next day. Right. Is that legal?
Probably
the
not.
Statute of limitations are up on that.
Somebody knocking on the door? Is that a knock on the door?
No, this is not live right now. I'll edit that part.
You'll be moved into a new safe house by that time.
Well, it's Kansas City. We barbecue everything. I had to no.
That is true. Yes, we do.
What's the weirdest animal you've ever eaten? Can you think of one? Have you ever eaten anything weird? I don't know, goat, I guess.
Yeah, ate goat. I mean, had haggis in Scotland.
So
that was pretty good.
Is that stomach-filled thing?
Oh, yeah.
What was that like?
It was pretty much exactly like you just described it. Yeah.
Disgusting.
I mean, I'm a big, I like to eat the stuff where I travel to. I like to do local.
When in Rome.
Yeah, totally, man. I'm a local traveler. I don't like to go to the big places where everybody else goes. I like to go to the weird
That's the
spots.
way to do it.
So, I was in traveling through Scotland, and up by Loch Ness, it's amazing.
Yeah, that's right. Loch Ness is up there.
Beautiful. But, had haggis, had smoked fish soup, which was interesting, fish and potatoes in there. And that was like a white fish. It was really interesting. So Scotland had some weird stuff. Weird animals, though.
Haggis is pretty freaking weird. I guess I shouldn't say animals. I should just say
weird stuff. I mean, that's pretty weird. I mean, interestingly enough, I grew up in Iowa. That's not interesting, but
not at all.
We used to hunt and fish all the time when I was a kid. That's what we did. So we ate everything, right? Squirrels and rabbits and everything,
Well, I guess squirrel's kind of weird. Not a lot of people have eaten squirrel.
Yeah. So we had that. We ate turtle, snapping turtle. We did snap and turtle.
I've been wanting to do that. I watched a video.
Snap and turtle was pretty interesting.
I caught a couple last summer, and I just threw them back. I kept catching them, too. It was pissing me off. And then after that, I was like, I heard people eat these things, so I started doing a YouTube thing on how to clean them and all that stuff. Yeah, those things are some creepy animals.
They're an interesting thing. So
there's like 7 different meats?
There's it's completely different in there. It's
That's what they say.
Different.
I can't believe
it's like even hard to believe it's from the same spot.
Yeah.
So that's that. I guess snap and turtle's pretty weird.
It's really weird. They were showing. I saw this video. They chopped the head off, and the head is still. What's the right word? Not alive, but I guess
reflex is definitely functioning on their jaws.
Is it reflex? They'll keep going for hours after that thing's dead. You chop the head off, and the whole body is still moving around.
Yeah.
That's so weird.
Yeah, they're a weird animal.
And
growing up there, we had a lot of interesting things. Of course, like frog legs and all that kind of stuff.
I'm going to do that. So I'm going to go get frog seasons now.
Yep.
I got a couple buddies at work that were asking me, "Hey, you want to go try some frog gigging?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "All right, I'd love to. I'm a hunter. I'm a bow hunter."
Right.
And I'll eat all that stuff. And I was like, let's go. So I'm going to go. We've got something set up, I think, for next weekend to go do some frog gigging.
Yeah.
Where you pull the pants off and fry them up, right?
That was my youth, So I got to a point in my life where I kind of stopped killing things. I just didn't want to hunt or kill anything anymore. So I don't really do that, but I still will eat anything that you possibly could put in front of me. Yeah. With maybe exception of dog, that I might draw the line there. But we just friends of ours up in Montana, we were up there and we had elk. Elk steak was of course awesome.
Elk's delicious.
But all kinds of things. I'll give anything a shot, man. I'm a pretty good.
Yeah.
I like food. There's really no kind of food I don't like. That no kind of can't find any region of the world that has a food that I go, I don't like. A lot of people are like, well, I don't like Thai food, or I don't like this, or I don't like. But pretty much food is good.
I love food.
Yeah, that's to me that's one of the fun things about traveling, is eating food that, like you have like Wiener Schnitzel is a cool thing here, but having it in the Austrian Alps is like awesome. It's that's authentic. It's like, it's just different. You feel like this is what I should do here.
What are you, like the Anthony Bourdain of the dog world? Look at you traveling all these crazy places.
Well, that's more my music.
Eating haggis and
that's being a musician gets to do that. But my dog stuff, we just mostly travel in the USA because I probably won't fly with my dogs. So I don't fly with my dogs.
Oh, you don't? Why not?
We only
because you have to crate them and put them in the thing. Okay, that makes sense. Why can't you just say, "Hey, this is my support dog. He needs to be with me."
Some people do that.
Of course they do.
But so we have a lot of friends that fly with their dogs all the time to competitions. No problem. So they do it. I know how I am, and I'd lose my mind. Probably.
I get it.
If I could be down there with them, I'd be fine.
Right.
Put me in the cargo. I'm totally cool with that. Right. But
I don't think they allow that.
I don't think they let me do that. No. And if they won't allow me there, then they shouldn't allow my dog there, is my thinking, right? If it's dangerous for me, I don't want my dog there. So,
that's right, family. He's family.
Absolutely. He's totally my family. He's definitely family. So, I would so I don't fly with my dog. So I haven't done international with my dogs, only with my guitar. I don't mind if they put my guitar.
You go all over the place for your guitar, huh? You're quite the musician. I don't know anything about your music career or prowess or anything.
Yeah.
Are you well known? Are you? Yeah. I'm not asking you to brag or anything. I'm asking just you know what you are. If people know about you,
people probably know about me. I've got like 8 records out.
Holy shit! I've had a lot of musicians on. I should have gone down that road with you.
Well, that's a whole other.
Bring that guitar.
Well, maybe that's the next one. We'll do another one of these, and we'll do music. We'll say because I do music. Played.
I love all music. I love most music.
Yep.
Country. Get out of here. I ain't down with country. I do like the bluegrass. I like the picking.
Yep.
I love that. Like Tommy Emmanuel's.
Yep.
I've had one band, bluegrass brand. There's like a bluegrass hybrid band in here.
Right.
Whiskey for the Lady. Okay. They're really cool.
Right.
They got the big bass. They got the big box. It's just a big box he sits on and he beats that. They got a fiddle, a band.
Nice.
Does he have a banjo? They're really good. I think you would like them.
Yeah, cool.
But I've been wanting to get another musician in here to play because they played a couple songs for me with all their stuff. I'd love to get one of those types of musicians in here to play their guitar and stuff. So
well, yeah. So for sure we'll do another. Because I've been a musician most of my life and
that's your real.
Over.
Is that your?
Yeah. That's really what I did for a living. It's all I've done for a living for a long time. So I do that and record and.
Do you sing?
A lot. I do not sing. You don't want to hear me sing. That's a bad idea. So I'm just I play guitar. So most of my records were instrumental, and last couple records were with a vocalist. And my band played around a lot. Haven't been playing out as much the last couple of years. So I've been working on a project with a record that's going to come out this year by Christmas. It will be out with a friend of mine from Europe, a guy named Rodney Matthews. He's probably one of maybe the foremost fantasy art guys in the world, a fantasy artist. So he used to do...
What's fantasy art?
Like album
Unicorns?
Covers. Yes, like album covers from the 70s. He did album covers for Scorpions and Thin Lizzy and Nazareth and Asia and all these bands. So he's a really super well-known artist, but he's a drummer. So we did this record based on his artwork. So it's all these songs that are instrumental songs based on artwork. So
interesting. I like that.
So it's really it was a fun project. It's good stuff. We had a lot of cool guys play on it. John Payne from the band Asia played on it. Rick Wakeman from Yes played keys for us. So all these really luminary, amazing musicians are playing on the record. So that's going to come out. I don't know if we'll do any touring on that. That remains to be seen what happens with it.
Is your stuff on Spotify? Can I find you?
Yeah, you can find me on...
Do I just type in Jeff Scheetz?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, you just type in me and you'll find me.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I can't believe it. Dude,
wherever.
So cool. So cool.
But yeah, so that's... I joke about that now because when we did a thing out at the Royals with Towser doing a demo, right? And they gave me a little laminate, so I got my backstage pass and I joke and say, well, man, when I used to be known as a musician and it used to say, hey, Jeff Scheetz on it. Now it just says Frisbee Dog Handler. Frisbee Dog Handler. Could be anybody. Yeah. No big deal.
No big deal. Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah. So yeah. Well, but now my dog's the star. So he goes around and he gets to do the stuff, right?
How big's your band? What is you have a band now?
Yeah. I would say we're not playing out right now, but in the last few years, my trio played all over. And for a while I had a keyboard player, I had a B3 player, but then basically I had a trio.
Kabar. I just combined keyboard and guitar. They have one of those. What is that thing?
Kabar. They have
wasn't there a guitar that also had a keyboard on it back in the 80s?
Keytar.
Keytar. Is that what it was called?
That's what it's called.
How original.
Dude, yeah.
Good for you.
Keytar. They also have they have a lot of things that combine with guitar, like a banjo and a guitar, right? So,
A banjo and a guitar.
Yeah.
What's a banjo is a percussion instrument, right?
No, banjo's your country picking banjo.
I thought it was I know what it is. I thought that was considered a percussion.
No, it's got strings on it. It's just got less strings than a guitar. So it's a bantar when you combine them, basically, by the way.
Interesting. A band, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Why complicate it?
No, I was going to say, you don't want to make it difficult.
Yeah, for sure.
For the kids to tell their mom what they want for Christmas. You want to keep it simple.
Can't imagine too many people are asking their mom for a band.
Well, not in my world, no. But then again, I play Frisbee with my dog.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Who knows, right?
So, you got a vocalist, guitarist, and a keyboardist,
and a drummer.
Oh, well, who's your vocalist? Or you don't have one? You guys
vocalist is the bass player. So the bass player, vocalist, and then
bass, guitar, or like the big tall standing thing.
Yeah, electric bass. So yeah, my stuff is more like the last couple records are more like. Blues rock, Jimi Hendrix, Allman Brothers-ish kind of stuff like that is classic rock.
Just listening to some Hendrix. I was just listening to Hendrix today. He's almost everybody's favorite, right? And he's up there. And yeah, my favorite album, I don't know, my favorite album of his. I was thinking about this today because I was listening to him. I was like, my favorite album of his, should that be considered the best album ever? Because it's Jimi Hendrix?
Could be.
Because is he
well, yeah.
He's on Mount Rushmore as one of the greatest musicians. Is he greatest musicians ever? Yeah, guitarists ever?
For sure, I would say he is for sure one of the and I think what made him, puts him in that category, is the time he was in. You know, he was completely innovative
Right.
and groundbreaking at that time. You know, and while he maybe isn't, or wouldn't be considered as technically brilliant as even like someone like a Tommy Emmanuel. Is a completely different style, but
Right.
I mean, Tommy plays great blues and actually
Guy's
he can
just-
play rock. I mean, he's an amazing rock player too.
But his slapping,
Yeah,
and
he's just got the whole thing.
So
But Hendrix had it. Hendrix was unique, and he was creative, and he was doing something that was really completely groundbreaking at the time, which is to me what made him so awesome, and in a relatively short period of time. He's only really around for 4 years, and so he did.
4?
Yeah, so he had all that impact, and
that was only 4 years.
Short period of time.
My God,
that he was on the scene.
that hurts me even more. I didn't know it was only 4. And the funny thing is, I was just a Jimi Hendrix freak when I was a kid. I read books on him and listened to all his music.
Nice.
My favorite album of his, I hate live albums. I don't think live recordings are that good.
Right.
I don't know. I don't get these people that love Grateful Dead and Fish ripoff albums or live show albums. But his Live at Woodstock is one of the greatest albums I've ever heard, I think, for me. And I'm a huge Jimi Hendrix fan. I love all of his stuff. I think his blues album is really good, too. And nobody knows about the blues album.
Yep.
But the Live at Woodstock is just so
his playing there was pretty special.
So good.
It's a vibe, it was just a whole vibe and everything. It really captured
Jimmy, want to get high? No, thanks. I have mine.
Yeah, he's definitely, man. He was, for sure, big, influence on me. But like I said, from the standpoint of his creativity and just the way he approached things and stuff, and was pretty unconventional for then, and he took stuff from like blues background, but made it his own and did his thing to it, So that's what made it, so innovative, and such a crazy cat that was like doing all this different stuff from anybody back then, ahead of his time for sure,
Way ahead of his time. It sucked. I was gonna say I miss him, but I wasn't around when he was around.
Yeah, I know.
But it just, I mean, he would still, had he not been murdered. He was murdered, right?
Yeah, that's what they say.
Yeah. Have you heard that lately?
I've heard some crazy stories.
A lot of people haven't heard that. They just think he just died.
Yeah, well, but
there's a crazy story. Not even story. I think it's a pretty plausible, I don't know, I guess maybe a theory you would call it about him,
probably.
that he was murdered by his manager.
Right.
And that his girlfriend committed suicide by jumping off of a roof. They're saying that she had information and stuff, and so they just threw her off a roof.
I mean, I don't know. Who knows?
Who knows? But that's just kind of the thing lately.
It's kind of a conspiracy theory. It's kind of like Jim Morrison or.
Is there one about Jim Morrison?
Oh yeah.
I didn't hear.
I mean, Elvis. Look at Elvis. He's still alive.
I
think he's working down at the corner shop.
No, that's just National Enquirer trying to get a couple bucks from you, man. That and the Bat Boy.
400-pound Bat Boy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, but, Hendrix, man, he brought something to music that wasn't there before, and I think that's pretty awesome to be able to do that. It's harder to do that as time goes on. It's hard, and we work with a lot, so I work with a lot of other musicians now doing the True Fire stuff, and so we hear a lot of players and just stuff, and it's hard to be unique now. It's really
everything's been done.
Yeah, everything's been done really well. Everything's been done over and over and over, and with YouTube sensations and all these different things, it's like very difficult.
I am a YouTube sensation.
Not unlike yourself.
Yeah.
It's
I get 5 listeners a week, but we are a sensation.
Sensational. It's all been done. So it's harder to come up with something that really makes people go, whoa. And obviously with the entertainment overload, people,
attention span is
it's like
30 seconds.
So
or
it's
if
not
that,
back then you couldn't just, get on the internet and watch somebody that sounded like Jimi Hendrix. You had no idea. You would see him or hear a record was the only ways to access that. You know? So it's different.
No, technology is so crazy. It wasn't even that long ago that you could. I was thinking. I've been thinking a lot about music today, just for whatever reason. And I remembered the time where you would go to the music store, the CD store, BMG Music or whatever, and they would have a wall of headphones up there.
Yeah.
And they would have whatever newest CD
right.
was up there. You have to go in there and listen
and
to
sample it. Yeah. That's
Like,
how you had
it's
to
just
sample
so crazy how far the technology with just music is done. Like and the crazy thing is, I love music, and I bought most of my CDs from, you remember Columbia House and shit for like 2 cents a CD, but that whole scam. I was deep into that, and I was always buying these albums.
That's awesome.
And then now I have everything on my phone.
Right.
I spend $10 a month. That's less than the price of one CD a month.
It's unbelievable.
And I have the world's catalog at my fingertips. It's freaking insane and beautiful, but it's kind of shitty at the same time.
It's a little weird, as a musician,
Of course.
Well, so I've seen the landscape change, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot. And I mean, look, I wasn't, I doing instrumental guitar stuff, I wasn't selling millions of records or anything like some guys did that really saw a big difference. But I still saw a big difference, in when all of a sudden CD sales stopped happening, for the most part. It was, it's good and bad, right? Because I used to travel around, and I was endorsed by Yamaha guitars, right? So I traveled all over the country and did guitar clinics. So we'd go to a music store. I'd play that night. I'd play some stuff, talk about the new guitars, blah, blah, blah. There'd be, 50 people show up, guitar guys that wanted to hear it. And the number one question when I first started doing that was, wow, how do I get your stuff? That, your stuff isn't in my local store. And, I didn't have distribution that was going to put my stuff everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So, of course,
you weren't selling it out of your trunk?
Well, back then I'd have a postcard and say, here, write this address,
really?
Send me money and I'll send you a CD, kind of a thing, That was the only way guys
a postcard?
could get it.
You would just,
give them,
instead of like a business card, you would give them a postcard
that said, here's all my information. So, it's like selling it, right?
Right.
But, so when the interwebs came around, when the internet started, and we, had a different, had a website and different distribution, good news, bad news, right? Because the good news is now this kid in Philadelphia that says, man, I'd like to listen to your record, but I can't get it locally. Mm-hmm. Where can I order it? Where can I buy it? They got to go through extra steps. They got to send you a check. You wait for the CD to arrive in the mail.
Yeah.
All that crazy stuff, right? Which is, there's a lot of points in that process where they won't do it. There's a lot of problems.
You got to make shit easy for people.
So then all of a sudden they can just get it. And it's like, well, that's good news, bad news, because the good news is they can get it, but the bad news is I'm probably not going to make the same money that I'd make by going through the other process. And then as that process kept evolving into, wait, now they can download it for free.
Napster and all that.
Right, when Napster hit and all that stuff, then it's like, okay, well, and I don't blame that kid at all for going, I want this record right now, and I'm sitting here in my room, playing my latest video game. I'm just going to click this button where I download it for free.
I know.
So,
I'm part of the problem. I was a Napster freak.
Well, hey, and I totally get that, right? I understand it from that point. And as a musician, as a guy who was always struggling to get distribution deals, always trying to get my music out there, on one hand, it's great. And I would certainly rather have that kid have my music than not
have it. Right.
Even if I don't make a cent, right? Because I'm
if you go out there, hopefully he'll come to your show.
Right. And the altruistic aspect of it, I created this music and I would like you to enjoy it.
Yeah.
That kind of aspect, right? I'd rather have you have it as not. Having said all that, you still got to pay rent, right?
Money. Give me that cash, baby.
So there is that element to where, but once that wave hit and torrent sites and everything hit,
right.
There was, that horse has left the barn. So we're not going to go back to, mom and pop record shops. I mean, there'll be a few record shops selling vinyl now, but that's
vinyl's making a comeback, they say.
It's a crazy comeback, but it's not going to put you back out there. You know what I mean? It's
not that big of a comeback. Right. It's just a comeback for vinyl.
It's a niche kind of comeback that's like kind of cool and hip and weird. So, it's fine, but it definitely, the landscape changed a lot there to where, and I have a lot of friends, know a lot of people that, that really hit them hard, and that was difficult. And they were literally, making their livings just selling records.
I was really worried for Lars from Metallica. I didn't think he was going to be able to make his next meal.
He's probably going to start a GoFundMe for him because, what are you going to do, dude?
Right.
So, but unfortunately his plight that was well publicized, and his, reactions, did sort of downplay or not spotlight some of the guys that really affected, that really guys that were literally making a living, and then all of a sudden they're not making a living and they have to figure out what else they can do, So those guys, took a pretty big hit on that. But once again, it is what it is. It's a new world, right? It's a new world. I mean,
time to adjust.
Yeah. What if you had a Blockbuster? What if you were selling, if you were a guy that owned a Blockbuster store?
No, Blockbuster screwed themselves.
Well, yeah, but they're done now. You know what I mean?
Done now.
They're that wasn't going to work.
There's like Hollywood Video around here. I think there's 3 of them in the metro.
But so you think, what's the next thing, right? What's the next thing? What's
the next thing to fall?
Right. What's the next thing that's going to go away?
Barnes and Noble.
Yeah, they're close to but the only thing that keeps those guys going, in my opinion now, is their online presence and the stuff they do online. So some of the companies that have adapted, but it's like, as a musician, it's like music stores, right? Same thing, right? Mom and pop music shops, took a huge hit once.
Oh, sure.
Online music, you could go buy it online and have it delivered the next day or 2 days.
Right.
Why do I want to pay $100 more to you for that?
Right, yeah.
So that was another tough thing. It's not just music stores, obviously, anything online with Amazon and stuff. But companies that were smart enough to get online and do that, it's like what we do at TrueFire, right? So guitar lessons, same thing. Used to have to go find a teacher somewhere in your local area and go to a music store and wade through the back room boxes and go there every Tuesday at 5:00 to get your lesson. That's how you took lessons. And now you do it online. Now it's like, there's the online world. So you can either,
it's a crazy world.
You just have to adapt. World. Yeah. I mean, look at you. You're podcasting here from your room. And
that's right. I am. I have a radio show, essentially.
Radio show, right. You're speaking to the
DIY.
world.
I am. Yeah.
So, that wasn't possible just a few years ago. I mean,
that wasn't too long, 12 years ago or so. Probably
wasn't really, and even then it was, difficult. It's like
it's difficult now because, like I said, I'm not smarter than the dog.
Right.
Like, I didn't know how to do any of this shit before.
My border collie could set this up and run it, by the way.
I wanted you to bring him and be my producer and switch cameras for me.
He could have. So my little border collie, back to dogs, my little border collie is Zorro. And he's 2, and man, he is smart. He's crazy smart. He just knows stuff, and he can outthink you in a heartbeat, and just never ceases to amaze me how I'm about ready to tell him something, and he knows, and he just does it. It's like, oh yeah, okay. You can tell by my body movement. The dogs read that so much. They read your emotions and your body movement, so they know exactly what's going on. So if you move like that, they know where to turn. So that's part of the freestyle stuff and training your dog out there is,
do you have to train a routine?
Yeah. So you do a routine and moves, so, okay, you're going to flip, then you're going to go between my legs and catch this, then I'm going to catch you. So a lot of that is done by body movement and by pressure. So if you step towards him, he knows he backs up a little bit. If you move back away, he's going to come to you. So it's this whole weird dance, which is what makes it cool. It's a dance. It's like this synchronicity that happens between you and the dog.
Nobody would really catch on to that unless you're into the world, right?
And when you do it, it's like magic, right? It's like those things that you go, oh, this is awesome. Like if you're kayaking down and hit some rapids and you're like, you hit it just right. And I mean, I got all kinds of goofy analogies because I do a lot of different things.
You do a lot
all
of
those
shit.
Things are the same thing. It all makes that magic happen. Or when you throw that awesome drive off the tee box and it's like, it's just, that's the one.
I have a few pictures in my head of some memories of just some great bombs that I've thrown that have parked. It's like, or everything comes together. The strength and the technique and everything just all comes together and hits that sweet spot.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's like that's being in the zone. Like, like Michael Jordan talks about, or athletes of all kinds talk about being in the zone. And that's the way it is when you're out there with your dog. That's the other thing that makes it special is it's not just a routine you're kind of going through, but you have to connect with your dog because they got to do what you want to do when you want to do it. And, if you're 2 feet away, it's not going to work as well. So it's that syncing up, that, in the zone is a pretty cool moment. It doesn't happen all the time, but when it does, you're like, oh, that's pretty awesome to share that with another,
it's an interesting
creature.
Yeah. It's an interesting partnership that you guys, I would think, have with your dogs.
Yes.
Real kind of, it just seems like kind of intimate and just like you guys kind of must really have like a connection with each other, especially for the freestyle. Yeah, is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, for the freestyle for sure. It's definitely a connection that is hard to explain to someone who doesn't get it.
Sure.
So me and my little border collie Zorro, while we're just talking about whatever, we did a thing this spring. We did a thing called the Canine Biathlon.
Wow.
So the Canine Biathlon, it was in Alabama. It's basically 4.5 miles of a run. So imagine like a Warrior Dash or Tough Mudder, Spartan Race kind of a thing, except with your dog. So you and your dog are jumping in pools of muddy, nasty water. You're crawling under tunnels. You're going over this big tire hill with your dog. So your dog's on a leash.
For
You're going together
miles?
4.5 miles.
That's longer than a 5K, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, it is. And so it's pretty brutal. I think there was 80 obstacles in that 4.5 miles. So some of it's running. The fastest guys do it in about 40 minutes, So this was my first time ever doing it. My goal was to do it under an hour, but my time was 1 hour and 26 seconds. So
was that your fault or the dog's fault or both?
It was definitely my fault.
Okay.
He was good to go. He was like good. He's like, could do it. Could have turned around and done it again, But it's pretty amazing connection with your dog doing that kind of a thing, because you're standing there and you've got to crawl in this water, under this tunnel, and you've got to look at him and say, you got to trust me. And I got to trust you that we're going through this together, So it's a pretty cool thing. It happens once a year down there, and they're expanding that. Another dog sport, right? So this is another dog sport that's taking off.
Yeah.
So I think they had over 2 days, they had 1,200 teams did this.
Wow.
It's crazy.
That's
right?
insane.
1,200 teams of a person and a dog that ran through the mud and the muck and crawled on their belly through nasty stuff that you don't even want to have to deal with.
Where's all the poop go? I mean, they're pooping and pissing right there. You don't want to. You're crawling through. You don't. I'm out. I'm not going through.
You don't want to ask. That's what my wife said. My wife said she can't get. She saw some of the stuff we're in, and she's like, no.
You're just.
So you're running up like
yeah.
creek beds. There's creek beds with water in it. So you're running through there, and then there's like woods. So you're running through the woods. There's big hill that you're climbing. Very cool though. When I first went down, I'd known about it for a couple of years and wanted to do it, but just there was always a Frisbee dog competition that weekend somewhere else, so I never got down there.
Do it.
But I had to do it, and so we went down and did it. And by the time I got done, I'm like, yeah, I think I'll probably come back and do this again, because it was just pretty awesome feeling, man. A great feeling of accomplishment, of just like if you were doing a race or a 5K or a Warrior Dash or something like that, right? So it's that, but it's the added level of connection with your dog and seeing them do it, and they love it. I mean, they're like, they're totally.
Yeah.
They're jumping in the mud, sure,
Yeah.
So it's a pretty cool thing. So that's just another dog sport.
That's how I was when I was 19.
Yeah.
I'm ready to just do whatever. I'll jump in the mud and do whatever.
Yeah. I know. If you could just stay that way.
I wish I could. God, we were born in the wrong era. We need to be like another 100 years in the future where they got that shit figured out.
Got that figured
I'll
out.
just be 21 my whole life.
Forever. Well, except your brain gets better. Your brain gets older. I'm fine with my brain being older.
It's got to get older.
My body could stand to be back at 21, because that's the thing with that stuff, though, especially those kinds of things,
Could
like
you
the biathlon.
imagine, just imagine the women you would be able to get with that body, but with a mind now. I'm kidding, ladies. I respect most of you.
Yeah, that you could imagine that, or you could imagine running the biathlon, which is maybe more practical application. Depends upon who you ask. It's all
right.
perspective.
Perspective, exactly. Yeah. No, I would love to have that. Yeah, I wish I was young again. I have issues. You get issues when you're older. You start aching and earning. I don't want to ache anymore.
When you do a lot of stuff,
Exactly.
Either wish I was younger, or wish I was just like an accountant dude that sat around all day and didn't care about anything.
No, you don't. You do
come
not
home and watch TV, and then you probably feel no pain at all.
That's not. No, that's the most pain of all.
It is.
That is not the life to live, because that dude wants to do shit, but he gets too lazy and he gets stuck in his routine, like we talked earlier.
Yep.
I know I should get off my couch and everything, but boy, these chips are good and this movie's good.
Yeah, it is.
It's hard. I mean, discipline.
Yep. You got it, man. You got to do it. And that's, like I said, maybe one of the best things about having active dogs is
keeps you
go,
active.
Yeah, you go do it. It's like they need to work. They're
working. You got a companion. It's got exercise.
Yep. It's all good.
That's that should really be pimped out there a little bit harder for kind of older people to kind of stay in shape and stay active.
Yeah, absolutely should be, for
You know what I
sure.
mean? Yeah.
So great having a companion, you know.
It
Great,
is.
great having somebody to motivate you, basically. It's like your own little mini personal trainer barking at you, barking at you in a good dog barking way, saying, "Let's go, come on, let's go," you know.
Yeah.
And I think that's a cool thing, you know. Great to have. I love dogs and have had dogs my whole life and love dogs my whole life, but the ones I have now, because of what we do with them, it's just a different, more special relationship and something that, you know, I'm just lucky to be part of.
No kidding. Oh, that's a beautiful thing, man.
Yeah.
Wow. Cool. I never knew the world of Frisbee dogs.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
It's a cool spot to be. So now you just need to find yourself a dog, and you already got the Frisbee.
I'm not getting another. I'd like to. I can't do it. Like I've got too many things to do too.
Right.
I'm divorced, so I got my kids on the weekends. I work. Again, I'm divorced, so I pay a lot of money in child support.
Right.
I don't have all the money to be traveling all over the place and do stuff, so I got to pick.
Yeah.
I got to pick my.
You do?
My hobbies and passions
you sure
too,
do, man.
And I would like to. My biggest thing is, so being divorced dad, it sucks. You know, I miss my kids like crazy.
Yeah.
But you learn to balance, and you're like, okay, I throw that stuff away, and I accept what it is, and this is my life now. And I love my kids, and I have responsibility when I have them.
Yep.
But I love not having responsibility when I don't have them.
Right.
So to have a dog,
right?
All of a sudden now I've got responsibility again.
Yeah,
I ain't trying to go down that road,
no,
man. I've done the responsibility
man.
road. I want to be unresponsible as much as I possibly can.
Yeah. Dog is not a good thing to have, and you could get a cat.
Fuck cats.
A cat is he's cool if you just go and leave him all day. He's like, yeah, whatever. I didn't really want to see you anyway. So
yeah, I used to lay carpets too, much like Cam Todd. And when you lay carpet, you start to pull.
Appreciate no cats.
You appreciate no cats because when you have to pull up a cat piss soaked carpet.
Yep.
And you can go to some houses, and before you even walk in the door, you can smell that ammonia smell. And I'm allergic.
Yeah.
So
there you go. Yeah. No cat.
I would like to shoot a mountain lion and eat it.
That doesn't really qualify in our.
No, that's a cat.
Having a dog or a cat.
I wouldn't have it. No, it's a murdering machine. You can't have one of them.
No, that's just a killing. That's a bloodlust.
Mm-hmm. Badass though. There's a few cats I respect, but the house cats, get out of here. Kick rocks. What are you?
It's awesome. So we have one cat that lives with my 3 dogs. So we got the 3 dogs and 1 cat, and my cat absolutely thinks he's a dog.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's a dog.
I've seen a couple cats like that are cool. Man. There's a few cool cats out there.
So we found this cat when Towser and I went to the park to run when he was, he's 3 years old or whatever. So we'd go up to the park to run, and we heard this screaming when we get to the park. And it was like, what is that? It was just loud and obnoxious, the cat. And it was this kitten who was about 4 weeks old. So not even old enough to be on their own. Somebody had dumped it out there in the park. And so it's like, So I took it home, and of course thinking I was just rescuing it and I was going to find it a home and whatever, right?
Did your wife fall in love with it?
Well, originally she said, I don't want that cat in the house. It could have diseases, right? I don't want to give him diseases to my dog. Blah, blah, blah. But then when she met the cat, then she's like, oh, we need to find him a really good home.
Yeah.
And then about a week later, maybe he's found a home. Yeah. And so
I found a good home. It's right here.
Exactly. It's pretty much what it was. So now 8 years later that we still have the cat. And and so the cat actually has never seen another cat past that 4 weeks. I mean, in our lifetime,
right.
Never seen another cat. But I keep saying he, but it's a she. She grew attached to my dog, to Towser. So she just wanted to curl up with Towser all the time. And Towser was okay, right, with that. When he was younger, and he kind of dealt with it, sort of brought the kitty along, and I'm training you up, right? But now the cat is like, it's like sort of worships Towser, right? It's totally enamored with him, and Towser's like just stay away from me, right? Yeah. But the cat will literally come over and sit by Towser, like a foot away, and then kind of stretch out and just start inching her foot over. And this could take 15 minutes, and then pretty soon her foot touches him. And once she touches him, then she's just fine. And it's so amazing to see. Like, she just has this weird connection with him that she just wants to be by him.
It seems like it's like a long con.
Yeah.
One little inch.
Yeah.
Did notice one little inch?
Totally. Exactly. It's like, just move my foot over. Yeah. And he's laying there sleeping. And then finally she's there. And then he's okay with it. But then if he gets up and he looks over there, he'll just kind of go, Arr, and then he gets up and walks across the room. Like, you snuck up on me. So cats can be, in spite of being cats, this one thinks it's a dog. So he's reasonably cool. Every time in the morning when we take the dogs out to potty, cat runs right out with them, like he's gonna, like, you're not going outside. Get back in there. They're going out in the backyard, but runs right alongside, like, okay, here's what we do in the morning.
Cool.
It's like, so for a cat. And the best thing is when we go away on weekends, if the cat has to stay home by itself, it's fine.
Yeah,
because it's a cat.
It's one good thing
totally
about cats.
Yeah.
I'm not a big cat guy, but I like your cat.
Yeah, my cat's pretty cool. He's
pretty dope.
She's not a bad companion.
Yeah, no kidding. Really cool.
Yeah.
Jeff, I appreciate you, man.
Oh, man, it's great being here.
I want to get you back here.
We'll come back and
bring your Yamaha.
Talk about whatever we want to talk about.
Yeah.
More music.
This was awesome.
Music. Fly fishing. That's my real passion, is probably fly fishing.
Oh, man. We'll talk forever then. I used to tie my own flies.
Yeah. So I'm a fly fishing. That's my thing. If I could do my one thing, that would probably be it. Fly fishing.
South Dakota or?
Well, yeah. We got a place. We got land up in Montana, so we go up to Montana every as often as we can, just outside of Red Lodge. So it's 26 miles over the Beartooth Mountains to Yellowstone. So it's right outside of Yellowstone, basically.
Wow.
So
can I be your best friend?
You can be. It's an amazing place up there. So we go up there. I fly fish up there. Because True Fire is in Florida, and I go down to Florida. That's where the studios are, down there in Florida. So when we have artists come in, they record down there. So I go down there once every 6 weeks or 5 weeks for a week. And the good news is my buddies down at True Fire, they're pretty avid fishermen too. So
Florida.
So we
saltwater
do
fishing.
Saltwater, yeah, and that can spoil you a little bit.
I've always wanted to fly fish for tarpon.
Yeah, so we did that last 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. I was down there
for tarpon.
Yeah, we went chasing tarpon, but we had boat problems, which was kind of a bummer. But we go down to the Keys, do bone fishing, so bonefish is amazing.
Yeah.
We went to Belize here a couple of years ago, bone fishing.
Jeez, I am not doing it right.
So it was.
I'm not living life correctly at all.
So those are the saltwater, man. When you're fly fishing in the salt, it can spoil you on catching fish here. Although I still love it here, but those fish are like crazy beasts. When you catch a bonefish that's this big and he literally spools you.
Really?
It's like you can't stop him. It's amazing how much strength and power saltwater fish have compared to your average rainbow trout.
Well, yeah.
So, but doesn't mean I don't love fishing here. So,
right.
But anyway, we could talk fishing for a while for sure.
Sweet, Jeff. I can't wait to get you back on.
Yeah, we could do it again,
awesome.
man. We'll do it again. And
this was amazing.
Pontificate about the things in the world.
I really just wanted to get down to the nitty. I wanted to meet you, get a feel for you, and really talk disc dogs.
Yes.
But holy shit, we got a lot to talk about.
We could go down a lot of rabbit holes, man.
Yeah, I love rabbit holes. I love them all.
Awesome.
I'm going to give you a couple minutes here. You pimp whatever you want to pimp. Do you say whatever you want to say? I don't care what you do. Here you go, my man. Say what you want.
Well, I don't know if I have much to pimp, but if you want to find out anything about really my music stuff, just go to jeffscheetz.com.
How do you spell it?
JEFFSCHEETZ. jeffscheetz.com. That can get you links to everything, all guitar stuff. Team Towser. TOWSER, teamtowser.com takes you there. If you want to check out guitar instructional stuff, and I have about 6 guitar instructional, maybe 7 guitar instructional courses out on True Fire myself as well. Besides working with everybody else, I'm a guitar educator. So just go to truefire.com. Any more .coms I can throw out there? SmartPracticeAcademy.com takes you to my book that we didn't even talk about. But
next time, buddy.
I wrote a book called Smart Practice. It's on Amazon. You can check it out. So .com, wherever, just you can Google me, and there's probably all sorts of strange things on there.
Jeff, man, thanks.
Yeah,
Can I get a fist bump from you?
Absolutely, brother.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, man.
Thank you, and we'll do this again.
Yeah.
This was amazing. Thanks, everybody, for listening and watching,
Oh,
whatever
for
it
sure.
is, and we're out of here.
Sounds great.
Deuces.